Alright, here's going to be the tutorial of your computer. I'm going to let Matt videotape, and here in just a minute while we go over some stuff. There's Matt. When you open this, it's going to come exactly like you see it. However, do not plug it in and hit the power button or we'll have flames and it won't be good. So, moving on. Oh yeah, the claw hammer. No, I'm just kidding. You'll have a power cord, comes with it. You're going to get some thermal paste, your DVI adapter, so you'll have your white DVI to your blue VGA, since that's what you told me your monitor has. Of course, your 2 Hello Kitty decals, your brand new USB Wi-Fi card, so because I know you had Wi-Fi, your video card, which is wrapped up. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll have 2 fans, your CPU cooler, 2 extra fan clips in case you by chance break one of these, brand new Gigabyte mouse pad in case you wanted it, and of course the clip for your CPU cooler. So first thing we're going to do here, I'm going to hand the camera to Matt. First thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and, on a bigger table than what I'm using, we're going to take the 2 thumb screws out of the back here on the side panel. There's one here and there's one at the bottom. So just take them out. Shouldn't need a screwdriver for these. However, you will need a long Phillips head screwdriver, kind of like this one. So get an idea. I don't know, about a foot long. So after those are taken out, just lay the side panel straight down and make sure these are unplugged. I will leave these unplugged, and we're just going to set this out of the way. Now that we've done that, let's go ahead and lay the case down so it's laying on the back side. And we're going to check some stuff out in here. If we come down in here, the first things we'll go ahead and check is to make sure that everything that's plugged in stayed plugged in on the trip to Cali. So up here is your DVD drive combo. Just make sure the power cord and the other cable, which is your SATA cable, is plugged in. Moving along, we're going to go down to the hard drive in the bottom. Same thing with that. Just make sure the 2 cables are plugged in. Looking at the bottom of the motherboard here, which that's the motherboard, just make sure all these plugs are just kind of pushed in nice and firm. There's several on the bottom, so anything you see plugged in that's blue or black, make sure it's plugged in. Next thing we're going to do is go up here to your big 24 pin and just give it a push and make sure it's plugged in, and the little fan plug next to its little bitty guy. Going to move over here to your 3 RAM sticks. The ones that are going to be here when you get this are going to be gold. These are black. These are actually my RAM. The gold ones they're actually in the other room in the computer I was testing. Just grab them top and bottom, and make sure you're not going side to side, but straight down. Just give them a push, just to make sure that they stayed clipped on the way. Same thing with these big blue heatsink. Just give it a push straight down. This one here, make sure it's pushed down. The top one, just give it a tiny wiggle and make sure it's good and seated, and the same with the one towards the back. Next thing we're going to want to check, there's a plug-in up here. It's yellow and black. Just make sure that's pushed in, and make sure that fan, like you can see, can spin freely. So just make sure you can get it to turn. Same in the front of the case, straight in front of the hard drive. If you reach all the way up in here, you'll feel fan blades. Just make sure it turns and you don't hear nothing in the blades. Once that's finished, we can go ahead and we're going to start the CPU cooler installation. And what you're going to do is you're going to get thermal paste. It won't be this thermal paste, but you will get a thing of thermal paste with you. You're going to put a small bit of thermal paste in the center, probably about just over a ½ an inch long and about as wide as a grain of rice, maybe a little bit bigger. So, you know, a fairly good amount, and you can add to it later if you didn't get enough, but we don't want to go crazy with it. We're going to take some type of card. I'm using a State Farm card. I'll probably go ahead and leave you one in there. I'm going to fold this one in half. You never want to use your fingers on this because the natural oils have a negative effect on cooling and will actually cause the copper to end up corroding. But what we're going to do is spread this out just evenly, kind of, on the CPU, all the way across it from corner to corner, and just make sure we get an even amount. We don't want this super thick. And I'm going to have to add a tiny bit more. It's sticking to this card pretty good. Maybe not. And this is a very important part of the installation, is your thermal compound and heatsink installation. So that's actually really pretty good right there. Alright, so now that that's covered, we're going to take our heatsink. And if we come here and look at our heatsink, yeah, you can see. So that whole CPU is covered in thermal paste. If we look at our heatsink here, you're going to see it's labeled Cooler Master at the top. You're going to want that to read Cooler Master from the back of the case, so where the fan is. And the reason for that, if you look under here, there's a little stud right here at the top, and that's where it's going to ride in this little groove on this bracket when we put it in. So how we're going to do that is we're going to take our bracket and slide it through. Right here, there's also a stud in the bottom of the bracket that goes in this hole, and we're going to spread these out one. So just like that, to where they pretty much make a, let me see if you can see that, but they'll, whoops, there we go, they make kind of a square pattern there. You will notice, and don't be freaked out, I bent this bracket purposely. It actually makes kind of a curve, and the reason for this is this cooler, how it comes out of the box, does not have a lot of seat pressure, which is the force being put on the CPU. So to get more seat pressure, I gave it kind of a slight up arc or up bend, and that took care of that problem, and it cools significantly well. So to install it, just holding it straight like this, we're going to set it directly on the CPU, and it'll align itself once you start these screws. So making sure it's in the holes, we're going to start the right side screws just a few threads. So, you know, a few turns. We don't want to go all the way down with them right yet. Same with the top one, started a few turns. Now this is very, very important right here. You do not want the screwdriver to slip out of these. If that happens and you're pushing down pretty hard, because it will take some force to get this to go down in this hole and start. So I'm going to want to start this one, and it's going to make some noise. You're going to want to come up to the top one and start it. If it slips out and hits that PCB, it could damage it and then it won't work. So just be very careful with that. Just run them all the way down until they touch, just like that. So you'll continue to turn, it'll completely stop. That's it. Same way at the other side now. Go ahead and finish tightening those all the way down. Stand on the cord. Now, once that's done, they're all set down and tightened all the way as far as they'll go. Go ahead and grab the cooler, and going, back and forth just one time, just barely move it like you see, back and forth. That way it's even, and that way I know all the thermal paste is good and it's even around it. And the pressure of the springs and the bent bracket will take care of the rest. And as it, what they call, burns in, it will, make real good contact. Now what we're going to do is install our fans. Right here you're going to see a split, a Y with two 3-pin or 3-prong connectors, which are for the two fans. It's very important the fans go the correct way. The fan that goes on the, if you're looking at it from the very bottom, so like we're looking, so towards the ram here, which would be the right side, will be the fan that says Cooler Master on it. That fan there, you're going to want to take it like this, where you see the wire, and the wire is going to go at the top bottom, but we're going to go under the heat sink. So we're going to feed that under the heat sink here, pull it through, and then to lock these have two little clips on it, which if you look at them here, they you'll see they just got two little locks on it. What we're going to do, we're going to pull this through underneath. We'll start the top two, which go in the two top grooves, and the bottom, and then just push it. And once it's clipped, it's there. Now you're going to want it even here, so just all you got to do is on both sides just push it down just a little bit, and there you go. That one's even. So we're going to go ahead and plug the first one in. There's a groove right here, which one of the 3-prong, this is a 4-prong, but the 3-prong, that fourth blue wire is not used. So once it's plugged in, there you go. We'll tuck this one back underneath the heat sink. That way the wire's out of the way and it looks nice and neat. The other one's a slight bit trickier because it's got a cord that was designed for, to reach Mount Everest from here, but it'll work. So we'll go ahead and plug it in. Plenty of length to just lay it wherever and plug it in. That's a full-blown 3-pin. And we're going to start tucking these massively long wire back underneath the center of the heat sink. Now the reason it needs to go in this particular orientation with the fans is it's in what's called a push-pull setup. So one fan's pushing, one fan's pulling through the heat sink, and we want it to go through and exit out the back of the case. If we put it on the other way, then it'd be blowing back into the case and it would counteract the exhaust fan, so it would have a negative effect. Again, the cord needs to go at the bottom top, and we're the same thing. Clip the top, the bottom side right here, just pull it over, it's locked. Push it down just a tiny bit, it's even. Make sure you can spin the fan. Both fans, they spin evenly. So there we go. So the cooler's on and it's out of the way and we're finished there. So now we're going to turn the case around and we're going to look at the back panel here. On these you're going to see 2 open slots right here that there's nothing in. That's where your video card's going to wind up being. What you're going to need to do is the 3rd screw, which is a perfectly round screw. We're going to take that screw out. By doing that, we can pick this bracket up and this comes out, this plate. The next screw that's sitting here all alone in between the 2 open slots, go ahead and pull it. Now we're ready to put our GPU in. It's going to come in an anti-static bag, so we're going to go ahead and pull it out. I'm sorry, I'm in my jogging exercise t-shirt. If you see it, it looks like crap, but anyhow. GTX 470, the sticker was coming off, so I went ahead and peeled it off. However, all you're going to see is that much of it. Where this is going to go, you will see in here a very long blue slot, the very top slot. It's a long blue one. You're going to want to take the card, make sure this blue cable right here, go ahead and pull it up and push it up close to the heat sink so it's out of the way, and hold down at the front or get it out of the way. We're going to set the card down and bring it to the very back so it's lined up in this slot. Then we're going to make sure, if we can see down in there, that the gold fingers on the bottom of the card go into the slot, and you'll hear it. It's going to lock in place. Now we're going to take our screw that's got the sides on it, and we're going to put it in the center hole on the video card and go ahead and just tighten it down. Just snug it up. Give it a little back and forth, snug it up. It's snug. Now what we're going to do is look inside here, and we want to have good airflow, so this blue cable is going to go between the video card and the heatsink. There's a little area that it sits right in perfectly, and then right up around these bottom RAM, the white slot holders. So once it's there, you're good to go. Next thing we're going to do, and second to last thing in here basically, is we're going to find this dual 6-pin setup that I have here wrapped in this hard plastic blue sleeve. It's the only part of the sleeve I had to go buy this to get this to work. But it says PCIe. That should read up, so it'll read to the top up here. We're going to start both of them. There's 2 6. You'll hear them. Clipped in, you're done. So I'm going to go ahead and just look again, make sure we didn't knock anything loose. Check your cables again if you want. We'll go ahead now. If we stand this up here and you look carefully, you'll probably have to get down closer to see it. There is, you're going to have to come in here. Right here by my pinky, there's a white 3-pin plug-in right next to this little capacitor. That's where the fan plug goes for the side panel. So that's what we're going to be aiming for right here, and I'll show you how that goes. So stand the case up. It's so much easier if you have room to lay the side panel down. I'm going to go ahead and lay the side panel down and just push it right under the edge of the case like that. And with this black cable, which is for the fan, it's a 4-pin. I prefer that you go underneath the wires here and just kind of fish it up. That way it's out of the way. So I've got it, and we're going to go ahead and plug it into that grooved area. There's only one way this can go. Of course, there goes my cell phone. This groove area, of course, you'll notice will have to go with the slot itself, or the plug-in itself here. So it's gonna rub against that little red cap right there, which is okay, because it just is enough. It just clears it. So that's plugged in. Now we can plug in our two lights here. Come back up to the lights. They go in this little blue transformer, I guess is what you would call it here. So just plug your bottom one in, which is for this real short one by the fan. So it's here, so it's kind of a tight fit. And then the other side, plug it in. Alright, once they're clipped in, you're good to go. So we'll go ahead and put this back up. If you'll notice, there's a groove on the front of the case here, and there's a black, this little black lip right here. Just hooks right on it. Push it closed, and put your two thumb screws back in. So top thumb screw, bottom thumb screw. And then one thing I did forget to put back on, this little bracket has two little latch pieces here, right here. You'll see the itty bitty slots that they go in. Push it in, push it against it. Take your one little round screw, and you'll see where it's rubbed. There'll be kind of shiny area. That's the hole it goes in, be the dead center hole, basically. And just tighten it down and snug. Come to the back panel. Of course, your I/O plate. You got your two PS2 ports, which I don't think you'll be using. I think you have USB keyboard and mouse, but you have two USB ports here. You have your fiber optic type for your audio and your SPDIF out. I don't think you'll be using them. Same with your external SATA and 1394 port. You have two more USBs here, your Ethernet port, and then of course your audio. These two USB ports here, these are the ones that I recommend putting your mouse and keyboard in. That's the ones I use. Of course, you can use any of them like you like, but they're always there and everybody forgets. You'll notice your video card has three places to hook stuff. You've got a micro HDMI and two DVI ports. You want to use the DVI port for your adapter that is closest to the back of the back panel. So this is the back, actual back of the case. That'll be the closest to the back. So yeah, so where there's no window, that's going to be the side you're going to want to plug that into, which is port 1. At the bottom here, that's to turn your blue LEDs, or cathodes as they're called, off. And then of course you have your main on-off power switch. So I'm going to hook it up real quick and show you a few things you need to do when you first turn this computer on. Talking about the Wi-Fi card that I'm sending you. It does come with software, however, it's plug and play. All you have to do is plug it in and it'll automatically install itself with Windows 7. So you won't even have to worry about that. So once you get your keyboard, mouse, everything hooked up, go ahead and make sure your power switch is on, the black power button in front, give her a push, and it's going to come up. What you're going to want to do when immediately as it powers on is sit here and hit delete. So it's going to come to this screen, you're going to hit delete, and it's going to come into the BIOS. There's only one thing you need to do in the BIOS. So with a custom build like this, you have to set these up. I've already got it set for you. If you scroll over with your keyboard to something that says Tools, and you come over here to the Tool menu and go down, you're going to see ASUS O.C.Profile. Hit Enter. You're going to see at the top it says Profile 1 Status, Torri 1. We're going to go down to the bottom here and scroll down to Load From. Hit Enter. Profile 1, which is Torri 1. So hit Profile 1, hit Enter. Make sure it says Data is OK. We're going to hit the F10 button, which is Save Configuration Changes and Exit Now, and hit OK and hit Enter. It's going to shut the computer off and save that profile. So as you see, computer come back on. It's pretty in blue. I'm going to kill some lights here for a second. Of course, you'll be seeing this. It is really bright. So if you go to the bottom, you can turn that switch off, and now there's only one little blue LED in there. And of course, a red and green one, which you'll see at the top, which is a power and a reset switch, which you don't have to worry about. That's if you're running it with no case. But it will definitely bright up your room. So I'm glad I put the power buttons on it. But something you need to do when you're in Windows, first thing, before you do anything else, before you start Skyping or tweeting or whatever. Hope you like your background. So again, I appreciate it. Gotta love. Headshot right there, 5,000th crossbow kill. I'm sorry, you're probably, I'm sure my ears should be ringing about the time you're seeing this. What's going to come up automatically when this starts up? You'll have a bunch of stuff I already installed. It's got Skype on it. It's got a bunch of things. You're going to see this come up right here. It's called Core Temp. Very important program. It's a CPU temperature monitoring program. And what we're worried about and concerned with is your high temperatures right here. This column right here. So what we're going to do here, just to check this, there's a folder over in the corner called Needed Tools. We're going to open that. The second one down is called CPU-Z. Open this. What this is going to run is going to be information about the entire computer right here. It's very important. So it's going to show your speeds. See, so it's at 4 on that particular one right there. Yeah, everything's running at 4 gigahertz. It has what's called speed step enabled. So it can run from a 12 to a 25 multiplier, which is, you know, don't even worry about that. That just, it can drop. So you'll notice right now it's showing 1.9 gigahertz. A second ago it was at 4 gigahertz. It varies depending on what you're doing. So once that's open, we can watch this. We're going to come over here and we're going to double click on this Cinebench program. So we double click that. Back up just a tiny bit. And it's going to open Cinebench. Go ahead and make that to where it's, you know, it's just some of your screen, so we can watch our temperature and we can watch your CPU-Z. Second one down, it says CPU. We're going to click Run, and what this is going to do is render a 3D picture in just using CPU power. So this represents the 8 cores, or actually 4 cores and 8 threads. And if we look down here, this is what we want to make sure. It should be running at 3.8, or it should say 38 and something else. So like right now it says 3839, your voltage says 1.32, and that's what we're looking for, something right in those ranges, and we want to watch our temperatures. This temperature should never hit 80 Celsius. So if it's in the 80s, we have a problem and we need to readdress the cooler installation that we just did. So we're going to let it render this picture here. It'll take a minute. You'll also get a score over here when it's finished. So you should be really similar to this. I'm sure I'm a lot cooler here where I'm at in Missouri than where you're probably at in California, so these temperatures will be a little different. And if they get to 76, 77 Celsius, no problem. Just, you know, anything 80s, you know, mid 80s, we have a problem. So it just got a score of 6.43. So if it's in the mid 6s, somewhere right around there, low to mid 6s, you know everything's good. So I like that. The top temperature was 72 Celsius. That's nice. So if you click Tools on your Core Temp, you'll see the second one down says Reset. Click that and it's going to reset your temperatures. Go ahead and exit Core Temp, or not Core Temp, but Cinebench. You can save it. You don't have to save it. Next thing we want to do, and this is the second most important thing that must be running on this, because this is a custom GPU that's on this, we're going to come up here, the very top corner, it's called MSI Afterburner. We're going to open this, and where this is important, you're going to click Settings, which is the bottom right there, and the second tab says Fan. Make sure Enable User Defined Software Fan Control is enabled, and you see this profile right here. As long as it looks like it does right here on this video, it's good to go. You hit OK. We minimize it, don't exit it. And you'll see in the bottom here there's a little jet in the corner. Looks like a little jet. Same thing if you open this. There's two. There's one here and there's one with a little number. Those need to always be running. So to check this, we're going to open up what's called Valley. It says Valley Benchmark. And in your settings, should be already preset. I've already set it up for you, 1366 by 768. Everything's on max. I'm going to hit Run. And this is going to test our video card for us and make sure we have no issues with it right now. In the top right, it's in blue. Since I know you like blue, I put it in blue. It's going to display your temperature of the GPU, temperature of the PCB, and some other things. And the bottom one will be your frame rates. What's important is the two that I want to mostly check is the voltage should be 1.055, and the temperature should never run in the 80s. So if it's in the mid 80s or anything in the 80s, it's not good either. So anything below the 80 Celsius range, you're fine. You will notice, I know if you get close, you'll notice it gets a little bit noisy, and that's the fan spooling up automatically. That's normal. So if it sounds like a jet for a minute or so, don't freak out. But let this go ahead and click benchmark in the top left. So you'll actually see it say benchmarking, and let it do a full loop until it brings a score up. I'm not going to run through it just because I know everything's good. It's showing 60 Celsius at 99% load. That's perfect. So it's looking good there. So I'm going to go ahead and exit that to save time. And once we've done that, and all of our temperatures look good, the core temp here, you can minimize it, so it will go away. And then at the top here, I'm moving the corner. This little gizmo is your Advanced System Care 6. So when his little face turns yellow or red, or he's unhappy, or he looks like, whatever, click the scan button. And it's going to pop this up. Whoops, it's not going to pop that up. Cancel. It's going to come up to a screen like this. And I've already got the stuff, selected. Just select all and hit scan. So if you ever have a problem, it's going to scan everything real quick. And it may come up with some stuff it needs to do. It may not. I don't know yet. I haven't ran it yet. But anyhow, just let it do its thing, and you can click repair or click the automatic repair, no problem. Something else I want to talk about. We'll go into it. System properties here. You have 6 gigs of RAM in it. You can go to 12 if you want to, or even 24, which I don't even see a point. It is a quad core. You do have Windows 7 64-bit Ultimate Edition, and I think that's everything. Like I said, it just has some things on here already, some benchmarks and things that you can run if you want to play. Black Ops 2 is already on it. All you have to do is sign into your own thing. But you can play with this Catzilla. It's pretty neat since the whole Hello Kitty. You'll have to run it on cat mode if you do it, which is 1280 by 720 since you don't support anything over that. But it's something fun to run if you want to play with that. It's on here. Of course, Heaven, it's another one that's fun to run. It's already set up for your resolution and stuff. Actually, no, it's not. You'll have to put everything on extreme. So you're going to go type DirectX 11, Tessellation extreme, shaders high, anastrophe 16x, anti-aliasing 8x, that 3D stereo disable, multi-monitor disable, full screen, and of course your resolution, and then run. It's fun to do also. But otherwise, once the temps and things look good, once that runs, you're good to go. But again, like I said, the most important thing, make sure MSI Afterburner is always running in the bottom corner down there. And you should have 0 problems now, so it'll be good to go. So if you have any questions, of course you'll have one of my business cards with you, and of course you do know how to get a hold of me. So if you have any questions or any problems, call me or whatever, and I will definitely help you best I can with it and get you going. So when this is finished here, it's pretty simple. Click repair, it'll take care of it for you. So that's the first time I've ever run it. And there you go, you're good to go. So very good program, I love using it. I just minimize it. That way if you are, whatever, it has this clean RAM that you can click and it'll get rid of stuff that's running if it's been running forever and you're never using it. Of course that didn't find nothing because there's nothing on here. And again, this does have a 1 terabyte hard drive in it. So right now it has 51 gigs used and 880 gigs left, so you got plenty of storage space for whatever you decide to put on it. But that's it. That's the computer, and excuse me. I'm hoping you enjoy it as much as I've had fun building it. It's actually just been really fabulous to play. There is one thing I do need to point out. Matt, let me have those headphones, please. There are 2 sets of audio jacks. You have to unplug them there. And there's something that'll pop up here depending if you're using the two front ports or the green and the pink one in the back. I'm not sure what you run, if you run headphones, if you have speakers, I can't remember. But for instance, if we go ahead and plug them in the back, so this headset here, in, you're going to see this little information bar popped up down here. We're going to click on that. Whoops. So look like a little speaker. And we're going to make sure that the device is selected. And we're going to hit the button. And as you can hear, it's working. So that's good. Go over to the microphone tab. And we're going to test it too. Make the boost level 20. And let's see here. Whoops. So that'll be for your mic. Just make sure your mic's also, checked, and it shows these as lit up. And click OK. So now if you're going to use the front jacks, it's going to be kind of similar. So you'll have the one that shows headphone on the right. So we'll plug it all the way in. And there it popped up. That's what we wanted to see. So what we just plugged in was the headphone jack is on the right. So there we go. So it says headphone. So we can plug in that for headphone. And again, you can hear it. And then we plug our microphone in. So plug our mic in and make sure it shows mic is checked. And click it. And you have noise suppression and acoustic echo cancellation. You can play with those. It's up to you. The acoustic one is for if you have speakers going in the background like I always do and kill your guys' ears on accident. But you can play with that, and you can play with the different settings and mic boost. So I just wanted to point that out. So now you're ready to go. So like I said, enjoy it and hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time with it. And you'll have to send me pictures when you decide what you're going to do with your two decals, because I'd love to see them on here. I think the one, if you can make it fit here in this window after you pull your plastic tear-off off, but that will look really cool. So let me know. Hope you like it and really enjoy it. So talk to you later. Bye.